absolute delight to be a presenting sponsor for Fresh Start Cherokee, A Million Cups. It's just what happens in this room is just so wholly consistent with our value system and our mission at Business Radio X to support and celebrate local business and community leaders and give them a platform to share their story and promote their work. And I was explaining to my wife, Holly, that I was going to get a chance to come down and visit just for a couple of minutes this morning. And I also confessed to her, I don't know what else to say other than that. And she said, well, I thought you didn't like networking. I thought you hated networking. I thought if you wanted to meet someone, you just invite them on to one of your radio shows. And I said, yeah, but that's not what this is. You walk in the door, the coffee's free. It's a no judgment zone. There's no posturing. It's an environment of abundance. Everyone there, their top priority is to try to help everyone else there. And yeah, you might find yourself in a corner and you might be talking with Joe Hammond and some of the guys about your last experience of trying to smoke something on the smoker. But you can also grab Joe and somebody else and pull them all to the side, and I can say, hey, I'm thinking about starting this new series over at Cherokee Business Radio. And I'm thinking this real estate series, and I think a mortgage broker might be a good sponsor. And they know and I know it's not me trying to get Joe to buy something. I can be authentic. I can let him know my challenges, and Joe will try to help me. And it's just a different experience. And she says, well, okay, it sounds like Christmas house. I said, Christmas, what are you talking about? So my wife is the youngest of 5 daughters, and we have this Christmas house tradition. Christmas house for us, probably much for many of you, it's a magical place. You step in the bubble at Christmas house. The rules are different. There are no whippings at the Christmas house. Everybody can just be who they are. If you show up, if you're a young couple with young kids, and you show up, you don't have to watch the kids for the next 10 days. Everybody takes care of the kids. A 14-year-old who might be moody and self-absorbed 355 days out of the year will go out of their way to play with the 4-year-old. It's just a different environment. It's an environment of abundance. Chase, the 14-year-old I'm talking about, he's probably 17 now, he loves croissants. There's a case of croissants. Stone and Uncle Joe like bourbon and cigars. There's plenty of both over the time. So there again, but when you come to the Christmas house, you can just be you. My 50-year-old niece Heather is going to show up in a low-cut blouse and tight pants, and she's going to talk about sex and alcohol, and that's what she does. Her niece Shannon is an aspiring actress. She's going to put on a little show for us, and we're all going to be supportive. And Uncle Howie, who is a dentist, most of the year, is going to dress up in a goofy costume and serve cocktails to everybody. It's just, we can all just let our hair down and just relax. And that's been my experience here. And I love that slide with the key pillars, right? That's, if I were more articulate and more eloquent, I would have just used those words. That's what it is here. And so at the Christmas house, you walk in, you drop your bags, everybody takes care of your kids, everybody's nice to each other. Uncle Howie brings you a drink, and you can just be you. So put your bags down, grab a drink.
What's the address of the Christmas house?
It looks a lot like this, though, for about 10 days. It looks like a hunting camp. Everybody's tripping over each other. But yeah, just come and enjoy while we listen to one of our own. Share with us authentically some of what she's trying to do, the why behind her work, where it's come from, where she wants to take it. And let's just do that thing that we do. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you a lady who has a lot going on and has a neat, innovative concept that I look forward to learning more about. Please put your hands together and join me in welcoming from ArtBeat, Miss Cindy Dornelis.
I have cue cards. I was told not to. Thank you for coming. Next slide. That's me. That's me. I'm green. That's thank you to all those organizations and people that made this possible. This is kind of a dream come true to be standing here and doing this, so thank you.
Need more sound back here.
Okay, hello, better? Okay. Once upon a time, my husband Scott was driving home from the gym, walked in the door, had a heart attack and died in front of me. And this is my story. He was rushed to Northside Cherokee, revived, and open heart surgery, didn't recover, and he was 98% blocked, healthiest guy you'd ever know. And it came from nowhere and it rocked our world. And this is a little bit about the story and the inception and creation of my business, ArtBeat Soundwave. We didn't have a will, and you may wonder what does that have to do with anything, but it's a huge part of the story and a big thing that I talk about in addition to the business. We didn't have a will, even though we talked about it for 20 years, and it basically put me in probate. I didn't even know that term. Now I could write a book. And it prevented me from accessing any of our money. Wells Fargo told me to leave. I couldn't even walk in the bank. Our credit cards were canceled because he was the primary and I was the authorized purchaser. My health care ended 2 weeks after he died. Couldn't do COBRA because we didn't have access to money. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. And I'm gonna reference my key card. Oh, my name was not on our house mortgage or the deed because he was our primary breadwinner. So it was his money and his, for the mortgage and the loan and everything was based on his salary. So, yeah, that was a crazy time. So when Scott died, we started going through all of our devices, social media, all our phones, iPads, everything. And we were looking for photos, like everyone does when somebody passes away. There are some of our photos. And I'm gonna go to this. And we stumbled on voicemails on my phone, on his phone, on my daughter's phone. We stumbled on videos on Facebook, also on our phones, and it rocked our world. The impact of a voice, it's so tied to a memory and you have no idea until you go through it. I did not know that. I knew photos would crush me. I was kind of preparing and bracing for that, but the voice, it's so tied to a person and to the memories. It's just outstanding. Scott died mid-October, and about a month later, I was having dinner with my girls, and I said, if you ever got a tattoo, what would you get? Just a conversation with my daughters. And my youngest daughter said, I have a video on my phone that I found of Dad laughing, and I would want the sound wave of him laughing. And I didn't even know that was a thing. Apparently it's a big thing. So Christmas was around the corner. I had no access to money. I was almost broke. And I turned to what I know, which was art. I had an art business for 11 years. It was called Moo Pow Creations. Some of you know of that business. I made signs. So it was just a natural progression for me to turn to what I know. And I turned to that. I got to work and I started doing a little R&D. I stole my daughter's phone. I got that audio of Scott laughing, and I made my first ArtBeat Soundwave. It was their Christmas present, basically, that Christmas. And I took the audio file, I put it into a Soundwave, I added words below it, I added the QR code, and when I first scanned it, again, my daughters were away at school, and I made this whole thing, and I thought it would be Siri. I thought it would be a computer. And I didn't know, and this is 2018, this is 3 years ago. So since the pandemic, we all know QR codes a little bit more from them being on restaurants, tables and so forth, but I didn't know what a QR code really was. So when I scanned it and it was his voice laughing, it floored me, and I knew I had something special. So on the left is me holding up. It was small. It just says Dad laughing, and then I have the QR code on the back, and that is Scott. So that's the very, very first ArtBeat Soundwave. So I knew this was a miracle. I've never been one of those people that just had that gut feeling, and I knew when I was creating it that this was something magic. I felt like it was a gift that was presented to me. And you have to understand, this was a month and a half after he died. I mean, I had just planned a funeral and trying to figure out probate, learning that I had no access to money and all this, and I got to what I loved, which was what helped me grieve and helped me get through it all. And I was determined to make this into a story of tragedy to triumph. I just really was. So this is just a little example of some of the signs. Again, that's my logo, Moo Cow Creations. I'm not doing that anymore. I put it all aside, but those are just showing you that, if you keep going back to your passion and what you love, that there's sure to be success. So like I said, I knew this was a miracle, magical piece, so I had to pay my bills. I had to hire a probate lawyer. I had to go to court. I had all the survivor spouse situation in Georgia, as you know, the lawyer, is horrible. Probate's horrible. People don't know about wills, and they just think, oh, those bills are not yours to pay. He passed away. Or I'm sure that your mortgage company will understand, or Georgia Power. No, I mean, all the bills were my responsibility. And so I thought, well, I'm going to make this into a business, or at least pay my bills. So I finessed it. I made it bigger. I wanted it to be a simple, elegant piece of work. And again, as I said, I took the Soundwave files, and I'm creating the Soundwave, adding the words. The lower right has a small little area as well, and then you have the QR code on the front. And then on the far right of the slide, you'll see I also have the QR code on the back, larger. And I started posting this on Facebook, and the people that had been my customers for my other business, and also because this is such a tremendous community and people knew my story. They knew I had 2 daughters and lost my husband. I had really no family, and I had the bills and probate, and people started ordering, and the stories were unbelievable. And it wasn't just, oh, my father passed away or my mother passed away. It was people, like a husband said, can I record like an I love you to my daughter or my wife? Or mothers saying, could I do my daughters laughing, my children laughing? I'll never forget. And so every new idea that came from my customers in the community, I just implemented right away. And I'll never forget, some man reached out to me and he said, my wife and I have lost many pregnancies, and we're going through in vitro, and we've lost more pregnancies, and we have a healthy baby, and we just got an ultrasound, and I want that ultrasound, the heartbeat. Could you do that? And I was like, oh my gosh, like just the ideas just flowed, not really from me, it just organically flowed. And I realized that my brokenness was a bridge, a connection to others. I lost 4 pregnancies, so I could relate to this man. And when somebody said, my grandpa just died and I have this audio, like I could relate because I just lost my husband. So being able to be empathetic and have that connection really was what this was about. It wasn't about a piece of wood. It was about giving people a way to celebrate the people they love in their life in a really unique art form. So I quit my job. But basically what happened was I had to put everything away. because I realized I can't pay my bills making this, or I couldn't. This is 3 years ago. So I packed up this, which was like my miracle piece that just fell from the earth. And I packed up my Moo Cow Creations business, and I went and got a job. And it wasn't my cup of tea. I'm grateful that I had it, but I needed health care because I had put my daughters and I on Medicaid because we didn't have money and probate and all that jazz. And so I left when it was dark, and I came home when it was dark. I've been to these CAM Business Club meetings, the Woodstock Business Club meetings. This is a similar story. So many people left their corporate job, and I couldn't. I had to pay my bills. But about 6 months ago, I started having chest pains, and I'm healthy. And I realized it was stress, and it was my body telling me to stop doing what I don't want to do. And so I walked into my job and I quit. And I went to my first Woodstock business meeting, and then the next week went to Canton, and I got a new logo and got to work. Christmas was abundant. I was so thankful to get orders and get back into it, get my studio back up and running, and this is what I'm doing. So I'm here. So this is it. And like I said, basically you're taking the audio file, you're creating the sound wave, putting the words below it. Really the magic of it all, I'm gonna use my glasses. What is this here? The magic of this is the QR code, really. So I wanna scan this. QR code app, all readers are all free. I mean, don't ever pay for one, but basically that's what you do, is you just download a QR code reader, whether you have an iPhone or Android. I'm gonna play this.
So this is the chord that's driving me crazy. That's a change from...
Let me do that again. And I'm gonna put this here too. That should help. I turned my volume up though.
So this is the chord that's driving me crazy. So it's the change from...
That's my husband. Actually, I'll put that there. What was really cool was when I realized I could, the QR code could be longer. And that's what I realized too, that people wanted more. They wanted to hear more, not just a snippet. So in the beginning, I would do the, let me see if I'm behind here. Uh-oh. There we go. You know, I would have a husband would record an I love you to his wife, and it would just be I love you, honey. And that was 2018. And then when I started creating more and more, and I realized because people wanted more of the person in their life. They wanted to hear more. So I'm gonna play one more. Thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, here we go. Takes a minute.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Megan. Happy birthday to you.
So, I'm glad you all laughed, because that was the intent, but I just love that, and I love that you hear the laughter of his wife. This is from my friend Kristen, she's actually here. This is from her husband, who has not passed away. And he does this every year for his children. He sings this happy birthday to his children dramatically and obnoxiously. And it's just like, I love this because it's like the celebration of their life. This is something they will always remember every year, that dad sang this happy birthday song, very obnoxiously, embarrassingly, and you can hear her laughing, and it's just like this. Of course, I love the one with Scott because I have a personal connection, but this is it. This is the real deal. This is celebrating the people in your life. And so the QR code's on the back too. And I also, when this has evolved, obviously any business does, so people are, I'm getting ideas from people like, you should do this and you should do this. So that's why I'm here, for you all to give me ideas, but I'm telling you the things that I do with this so that you can say, oh, she's already doing that, or this could be modified. I give a couple cards, so that people can give them away to family or display them near or get them framed or whatever. So let's go to the next slide. Let me go back real quick. Okay, so customers. Who are my customers? Anyone that wants to celebrate life, celebrate their loved ones. Again, it could be a recorded message to a loved one. It could be the voicemail of someone that's passed away. Obviously, that's the most impactful. That person's no longer here and we've captured their voice. So that is kind of a bread and butter right there. Baby heartbeat, ultrasounds, marriage proposals, baby coos, singing a love ballad, lullaby, or bad karaoke, kind of like this one that I just played was perfect. Children's voices, capturing the sounds of your kids when they're saying something funny or wrong until they learn the correct way to say it. Obviously, if you have a musician in your life, that's really wonderful. Wedding vows. I just think that would be tremendous. I'm trying to find that, but can you imagine getting the wedding vows, and it would just be an excerpt here, but when you play the QR code, it could be the whole, them saying their wedding vows. Laughter, favorite quote, family motto, scripture. I mean, it's just endless, and you all may have other ideas. Oh, somebody recently said someone in service, someone that's gone away, they're overseas, to capture their voice for their family. And I'm going to say this wrong, a billet, is that right? People in sports, is that right? It's when the kids come to like a host family. Do you know? I have like blank faces. I have a friend whose son plays hockey, and she said that they host billets, and they go to the host, so they may be there for a year and be away from their family. So just, again, it's just celebrating the people in your life and capturing their sound. So you guys may have other ideas and ways to do that. Target audience, it's kind of the same. I mean, you're celebrating your loved ones. So parents wanting to get voices of their children, or parents wanting to get the voices of their parents, the grandparents, before they pass away. Which, wedding venues, going back to marriage proposals and wedding vows, funeral homes, assisted living facilities, widow groups. I've tried that, that's tricky. OBGYN offices for the heartbeat. Again, I mentioned folks in service. I know what to do, I don't know how to do it. I mean, I have no problem cold calling and going up to Derby Funeral Home and talking to them, but I don't know how to go to, other than what I'm doing right now, which is posting on Facebook and word of mouth, which has been tremendous, but I need to take this to the next step. I don't know how to do that. I was at a meeting recently, and it really brought to light to me, like, when could you do this? I'm like, whenever. And that brought me back to this one of Kristen's husband, and how she could do this for her birthdays, which are 365 days a year. Obviously, all the holidays, again, if somebody has passed away, giving that as a gift. But other than that, all the other holidays, Valentine's Day, Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, all those kind of could be an avenue for customers. How can I grow? This is where I need your help. So number one, and I've been to a couple of these Million Cups since I left my job, and everyone says the same thing, spread the word. That's what I need. I need spread the word, tell the story. I love this story. I mean, it makes me sad, but I do feel like it's a story of tragedy to triumph. It has, like I said, has provided me a bridge to connect and understand if people have lost someone or just understand how much a voice means. But I need others to tell the story. But these next bullet points are really the avenue of where I can get, some feedback and assistance from the community here. So how can I reach that target audience that I was saying? How can I reach them so that I can get repetitive brand awareness? I need recurring orders. I need a studio full of orders. Video. I realized that I did some art festival at Town Lake. It was actually a chili cook-off at Town Lake at Eagle Watch. And it's at Eagle Watch. And a friend of mine videoed me like doing this. And she gave me the video and I posted it, and then people were like, oh, because I've seen this and it's really pretty, but what is it? They don't understand the functional part of it. So I realized I need a video. So I'm researching the best way to hire somebody to do a video. But I'm open to ideas on that. What do I need to show on that other than me showing a QR code or me in my studio kind of telling my story? I'm a Facebook girl. I'm not an Instagram girl. I'm 55, so I have limited experience with social media, so I'm great on Facebook. But I'm sure that many of you would say that's my next step. I need to hire, and everything's hiring. I mean, so many of us are entrepreneurs, and we know that it's expensive to run a business. You've got to take that next step. So I'm trying to be frugal and smart and intentional with my next steps. So I know I need to get a video, and that's money. And I know I probably need to have some assistance with my social media, and that's money. Another thing that is something that I noodle around as I grow the business is I do have a website. Again, I'm not super proficient with the social media, but every time I post to Facebook, I'm posting to Instagram and getting it on my Facebook page. On my website. Now, on my website, I have like probably 150 examples of past orders and customer reviews. That's another thing. Customer reviews. Hearing me talk about my story is one thing, but hearing Kristen tell about this. So I have the customer reviews. I always try to capture those from a customer afterwards because it's so much more impactful hearing it from them than me sitting up here just being a talking head talking about growing my business. So other ways that I can use those customer testimonials, maybe a video of them. I've never done that. Etsy. So like I said, I had an art business. I never had Etsy. I never wanted to. I was raising my 2 children. My art business was just to pay for supplemental like kids sports, uniforms and things like that. But now my kids are older. Do I go to that world of online selling? I really don't want to, but I heard Etsy is a great platform, but I know there's a lot of negatives. It costs money to do it. Art festivals. I really think this is going to be really important for me. I know that Canton and Woodstock have kind of changed their format a little bit. So trying to figure out how I can get to any and all festival. Like I'll do them all. And this is kind of my setup. Like I said, I went to Eagle Watch. It was kind of the first time, and I set up my thing. And I know what to do. I just need to get in there. But once I talk and once people see it, it's a sale. They're already thinking of ways they could utilize this, whether somebody passed away or to their wife or children, whatever. And the last is brick and mortar. Like, could I be at a retail storefront? And how could I be at a retail storefront when this is interactive? Those are my questions. Those are my ways I need help.
We didn't even ask yet. Seriously, you guys. I'm gonna make you raise your hand. No, I'm kidding. All right, Bronson, question number 1.
Well, I mean, there's the amount of things we talk about is is pretty significant. I want to talk about two things, or ask one question first. The first one is where are you saving the data for these videos and the sounds? When people use the QR code, where is it being saved to?
Okay, so let me answer that as shortly as I can, but let me first tell you, when I first launched this, is this still on? When I first launched this, and I made 100, I probably made 100 of these, and then I wanted to bring it back up, and those QR codes didn't work. Those QR codes of all the ones I made when Scott died to pay my bills, and I was like, I was like, I'm gonna relaunch this. So mid-October, quit my job, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. So I realized that where I had the sounds hosted, as technology changes, as we know, that company went out of business. I'm like, I didn't say anything. But that's when I realized, oh my God, and that's when I relaunched this. I had so much reinvention to do, because it had been 3 years. So I realized I have to host this, or have this hosted on some place that's not going to go out of business. So SoundCloud. I'm hoping that was a good decision. I kind of did my research and tried to find, what is a pretty lucrative company that's, it may get bought out, but they're not going under. So SoundCloud.
Okay, I will talk to you about that later on. The next part of that is the video. So I think that's like Corey. Do you know Corey, by the way? Yeah, she is in the same market as you, and you guys could collaborate. She's already making videos for people in your situation. Having that as a value-added service you can offer is something that could be done because it's already kind of in the same industry.
Yeah.
But speaking on the video part of it too, it can be overwhelming to have a professional video made all the time. I think you only need one. Like one explainer video telling your story, because as you were telling your story, like everyone's like crying. So like that will be a huge incentive, and that's a story you don't need to keep repeating. That's what the video is for. And then a lot of these other successful places, just those Instagram live videos and Facebook live videos, they don't have to be fake, fancy.
I'm 55,
It's fine. It's fine.
I hate live.
They don't have to be fancy. What they want to see is the energy and the connection. They want to see the real you. And so regular content is more important than this fancy production stuff.
I know, like the reels and all that.
That is, if you have regular content in that way, that doesn't require a fancy video production company. It doesn't cost any money, but it does require you to be a little bit bold and vulnerable in telling your story. I think it's a little more, and you can do it yourself.
Hi, how you doing? You know you can always talk to me, by the way, about video stuff.
Yes.
As far as, I actually do have a question for you, but as far as the videos go, something that I think people really respond to, especially on social media, is actually to get whoever ordered this recording the person opening it and listening to it for the first time and getting their reaction and putting that up there. And that's a real simple, 1 to 2 minute video. You don't really have to edit it much. You can just get them to send that to you. If you ask a few of your key customers to do that, maybe friends of yours or people who might actually do it. People love that kind of stuff. They're like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yes.
It's like seeing the soldiers come home and surprising their kids.
Yes.
People really respond to
Great
that.
idea.
The other question that I had was, and again, you wouldn't even have to hire anybody for that. You just got to get them. You got to figure out how they're going to send that length of a video to you, which is a little bit.
I can send that.
But the other question I had was about what's your lead time? How long does it take you to make one of these? Like if somebody wanted to order one for a birthday or Christmas.
So I'm doing three weeks is my typical turnaround. Okay. But as I learned from my previous art business, like my expertise is, oh crap, I need something now. And I'm never going to turn away. I'm never going to turn away an order. Unless it's Christmas time and I'm knee deep, I'll always accommodate because life happens. And I want to be that person that they're like, she cranked it out in 2 days, even though it's a 3-week turnaround time. So 3 weeks is a good leeway. And that's, when somebody places an order, I have this whole spiel that I send them, how to get me the file, and there's a lot of back and forth. That's my strength, is communication. So, I state that, the 3-week turnaround.
Yeah, okay, because that's a lot of handwork right there that you're doing.
I know Nick had one, and then someone else over here had one. Okay, I'll be right.
First off, I'm so proud of you. So I told you this story last week with the Tillys who are here.
You're gonna make me cry.
Had you on our prayer list for a long time, and I prayed for you for a long time before even knowing you. So to connect the dots was amazing. And at that E-Watch Chili Fest, there was a family who had just lost their mother, Chastity. And so immediately she comes to mind as to, I would love to get Scott and Carter something like this. So a couple things. One is consider a subscription service. You know, if I can pre-buy 4 of these a year for unknown reason, it helps you to just think about income coming in, and as you could trigger a reminder on things, and it's just a great gift in my idea. And it doesn't just have to be for a sad purpose, it can be for a happy purpose as well.
Yes.
The QR codes. Oftentimes, and I know this is evolving, but a taped paper thing on a corner does not represent the artistic ability of what you're doing. So consider, and you may have a preference on canvas versus wood, but if you frame it out and you could tape or put in acrylic to make it look a little fancier on the side, that way at least the guest could then, you know, say, hey, look at this. So all of a sudden it becomes more than just the sound wave. Not removable, just on the side of the frame. But your wood probably is not thick enough. So just a thought, because if I'm gonna mount this to the wall, the QR code's gonna be on the back.
Well, it's on the front.
But I'm saying, like that right now doesn't represent the artistic ability that you have. And you can't paint that. So putting it on the side and making it more of an accent of the art as opposed to the focal point.
Okay.
Something to consider there. Social media sponsorship. So I think you can control the spend of this. So if you just say, hey, I want to invest $1,000 into this or $500, you can control the demographic of that, because if you want to center your market more locally than internationally at this point, definitely control that. And then Art in the Park and Ackworth Art Festival, those are 2 that absolutely should be on your calendar.
Thank you, Nick.
Oh, and use your daughters. Use your daughters for social media creation, because again, the emotional connection there is just too strong. So as you get that video put together, use them, and they know more about social media than perhaps you do anymore. So.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, I completely agree with, and I don't know your name, Angela's thoughts on the reactionary videos, because they're real, they're raw, and that's the best possible testimonial you can have, even more so than a testimonial video that's like me saying, oh yeah, I had my mom's voice on there and that was great.
At the time.
It's the reaction, the emotional connection will go miles for you.
Because I get the message back. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, you made our Christmas, my father lost his, whatever. I get all those, but I'm not capturing it at that time.
I mean, it's great to have, 5 stars on your Google that says that, but it's even better to have that video of, I opened this up and couldn't believe it was my grandfather's voice.
Yes.
It can, and again, I'm sure that I'm also 53, so I'm almost, same age category, so I'm not a TikToker, but those are the kind of things that can easily go viral, and I know that there are people in this room that can probably help you with that. The other thing I would recommend to you in your venues, in your ideas, one of the ideas I gave to Corey for her family documentaries, was to talk to estate sale companies as well, because a lot of times they're doing downsizing of families or family members, and my thought was she likes to do the documentaries, like the human documentaries of the loved ones, maybe they're starting dementia or whatever, so this way when they can still tell their story. So that was an idea I gave to Corey, and I think that and partnering together is a great idea, and I think that would be good for you too. Etsy is really meant for people like yourself who have something really unique, small, that you will have to give some money to Etsy.
Yes.
So my other thought too is your mom.
Yes.
And I have a couple different venues to go to, but obviously going through PTAs, even your kids' PTAs, to give maybe a couple of dollars back to the PTA, whatever you feel you can give, to give back to the PTA to Christmas gifts, get the kids' voices to give to
That's a
grandma.
great idea.
Just like they do the art shows,
Yes.
like where the kids paint the
Yes.
art and people buy the art, why not the same
Reflections.
thing?
I think Cherokee County is called Reflections.
And then honestly, to go to clergy or to go to, because where do people go when someone's dying or they're getting married, right? It's the happy and the sad events. A lot of people go to their clergy, their rabbis, their churches, their pastors, their priests, right? So to be able to, same kind of thing is maybe a few dollars back to the organization
I didn't even think about
or the
churches.
sisterhood or brotherhood of different organizations in order to help them promote. You can, so a lot of times some organizations, churches and stuff will have people come out and have talks, and you could be one of those speakers. So, because good times, bad times, that's where people go, right? They go pray.
That's great. Thank you, Rhonda.
I have one thing, because I know some people are gonna have to leave. These are things that Cindy made for everyone to take home, and it's Georgia and the heartbeat on it, and then on the back is her QR code. So please
Yeah.
make sure you take these and
like,
take the lead.
I don't need them, they're for you.
Yes.
What sound is that?
Okay.
It brings me to my Facebook page.
Okay.
So it doesn't always have to be a sound.
Gotcha.
Some of this is piggybacking off of what others said, but one suggestion is sports. Like at the schools, a cheer, a touchdown, those sounds, like for kids, at that point in their life, that's awesome and memorable. For the QR code, I did agree with what he was saying, having it in the front, but another suggestion would be like a hinge at the bottom, where it could just fold down and they could see the QR code, but something that would just hide. It would be the same flush, you wouldn't even notice it if it's very thin. The other thing, Etsy is great, because you're gonna get a market that you will never get here. It's gonna be everywhere, all over. Tons of people, I just did a wedding, everybody's Etsy and everything like that. Pinterest is another thing. And then the suggestion for the QR code. Okay, I don't know if you've ordered anything on Amazon lately, but some companies include a note, and it says, would you like to send a thank you? And it has a QR code. You can have a suggestion with a little thank you for purchasing with a QR code, and it says, would you like to record giving the gift? And if you send it back to me, I would give you 10% or something like that, you know, whatever. But if you have a like, you get all those strung together, people would start buying them because they would see everybody's reaction all the time.
So you're saying when somebody purchased one,
Yes.
have a little, like a
In the
postcard,
packet,
and then
that's
also I can communicate it, like, when I'm giving them their order or whatever, like, if you could do this, and you mentioned it, give them an incentive.
Yes.
Like,
And you can even put
10%
on-
off their next order,
You
which
can
is
just type it
recurring
on.
orders too.
If in case somebody's given it and they're giving it to someone else
Right.
and they open it, I mean, they might have ordered it for a sister to
Right,
give to
right.
their daughter.
Somebody.
And it can say on there, if you would please consider recording giving the gift. I would really appreciate it, and here's a QR code
Yes.
that you can just upload it, and you
Yes.
got it. You don't have to contact them or trace them or anything like that. So that would be a simple thing to that. And the last thing was, okay, so I don't know if this is out of the thing, but I love this. So have you ever considered other images, like if it's a wedding vow, maybe it's hearts and it has the heartbeat in it or something like that? Because, or cheer or something, they could have some kind of an image, but the heartbeat goes across it. I think some people might go for that kind of thing too. So just a, I don't know, idea that maybe you wanna play with.
Okay, thank you.
I think one thing just to remind her, these are wood and they're heavy, and that's actually something that she's thought about as far as the shipping and
Yeah,
things.
I mean, I love that I love how solid it is, because it just adds to the quality, but it does present something with shipping. So, figuring that out.
You charge
You can't do it on canvas. There's just too much texture with how I'm doing it. I mean, but I can do it on thinner wood, I can frame it, I mean, there's ways around it. I love the simplicity of this, but again, that's why I'm here, to be evolving. Hi,
Thanks,
Chris.
girl. You did great.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. An idea came to mind because I'm doing an open house for a realtor on Sunday, and she's doing a big giveaway. I think that would be the realtors and lenders in the room would probably be something, if you have a certain tier, I guess, of however expensive a home is, you just kind of have that limit. But that could be a great gift for you guys to give to your client. Once you get your video, they can have it looping during the open house or something, and so people can kind of see what it is, and then they can either be given that as a gift from your realtor or lender, or it could be like what we're doing Sunday, which is we're actually doing a raffle and a giveaway. That would be awesome. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that. I don't know what your price point is, but maybe that's something to think about too.
So they're $125. I think that's important for you all to know that. They're $125, and yeah.
Okay, we're on time here, so I feel bad about this, but I don't want to cut any of the questions short. So I'm gonna go to John, you have any questions? Okay, so just try to keep your questions short so we can close out, and then also tell you who's coming next.
Mine's not a question. I've got a best friend that owns a funeral home. What I think you should do is go around to local funeral homes, put that in a nice gold frame. I know he would put one in his funeral home. It's a conversation piece when families are there discussing arrangements that they'll ask what it is. He explains to them what it is. Like I said, it gives.
Yeah.
Everybody's got voicemail, video, that would be an ideal place as well to get your business going in that part. And I'll take cards to him and explain what you're doing, and that would be a place to start as well.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm not shy. I know I'm gonna have to cold call and hit some pavement. I'm glad to do that. And obviously, I went through a funeral, and they have a whole array of products you can buy. What do you want to do with the ashes or this? I mean, there's just
That would just be a picture on the
Yeah.
wall. Somebody will say, what is
yes,
that?
absolutely. Thank you.
Yes. Hi, I've been following your story for 3 years. I know we met last week, and I love what you're doing. And I just have one idea for target marketing, because you mentioned military, but I didn't see the idea. Like, if you could find a bunch of military groups or military moms, what about having the husbands record prayers over their children while they're deployed, that they can replay every night? Just that one idea. How much business could you potentially get from that if you could find military groups? And we have a video business. Talk to my husband after. We have some ideas for you. How about that?
Thank you.
There just happens to be a restaurant owner here whose restaurant is Semper Fi. I don't know, maybe military connection? Just saying.
Of course, being the attorney, I'll play devil's advocate and take the other side.
Yes.
I like that QR code on the front. It makes it different than just a painting. Otherwise, I walk by and go, oh, it's cool, and then I keep walking. But that sets it apart, so I like that being there. If you want to experiment with different ways of making it look better, or the hinge thing, like Stacey's saying, working flat down over. I kind of like it there. And then as far as getting the word out, focus on what I call gate openers. They're not customers themselves, but they come across a lot of people who would be your customers, like funeral homes, probate attorneys, probate court attorneys that do litigation in probate court.
I didn't think about that. I don't like probate.
Forbidden word.
Hospitals or pediatricians, and you may have to throw them a bone to get them, let them put your info in their waiting rooms. Whether you give them 10% of every sale they refer to you, or you give them a free thing, or they'll just be nice that you put it up there.
Yes.
But focus on the gate openers that get you in touch with those who can hire you. And then, is there any limit on how long the sound can be?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there is, but real quick, when I first started doing these, like I said, they were short, and then I realized that's the magic. And that's why, like, hearing Kristen's, her husband singing that whole song, so I don't know.
Because my closing arguments are 30 minutes. If I got like 17 of my favorite closing arguments, I can hear myself talk to myself.
Can you do that?
Recorded the night before to stay in the code.
I think it'd be funny if you would go to probate attorneys and say, get a will, and that's what it says. Go for it. But everyone, just say thank you to Cindy, and please stay connected to her. On behalf of 1 Million Cups